Now we are going to take a deep dive into how to acoustically treat your room. I want to teach you how to set up and treat your room for the average home studio. Again, I have gotten professional results from this method over the years and stand by this approach for creating an acoustically treated studio either in a spare room in your house or in a standalone building out back. When we acoustically treat a room, there are major components we are going to talk about: bass traps, the reflection-free zone, diffusion, and dealing with speaker boundary interference response, or SBIR. Bass traps are special acoustic panels that are placed in all four corners of the room. Bass frequencies tend to build up in the corners of a room and can make your recordings and mixes sound like they have more bass than they really do. I always recommend that you put 4 bass traps from floor to ceiling in each of the 4 corners of your room first. This will give you a great starting point, especially if you don't have the budget to invest in more treatment at the moment. Next, we want to set up our reflection-free zone, or RFZ. The RFZ is the space around your listening position. You don't want to hear the first reflections off the side walls, the front walls, or the ceiling above us. The floor can be an issue as well, but usually placing a carpet right underneath your listening position will help reduce the reflections from the floor. To reduce the reflections on the right and left walls, we will place acoustic panels on either side of our listening position. To reduce reflections from the ceiling, we will hang what is known as a cloud. This is essentially an acoustic panel that hangs directly over your head about a foot or so below the ceiling and reduces early reflections from your speakers off the ceiling that bounce back into your ears. After creating our RFZ, we will look at reducing reflections off the back wall using diffusion. Diffusion panels differ from bass traps and standard acoustic panels in that they reflect sound back into the room in a wide, evenly dispersed manner. Without a diffuser, sound would reflect back to the source with the same intensity that it hit the back wall. However, with a diffuser, the sound is dispersed back into the room evenly. I like using a combination panel on my back wall that uses both diffusion and absorption. What is most important is that you understand what diffusion is and that we will place those panels on our back wall directly behind the listening position. Lastly, we may need to address issues with SBIR. If you move your speakers off the front wall, you may notice you hear less bass or more bass in your speakers than there really is. This is due to the sound coming out of the speakers and hitting the front wall behind the speakers, and then canceling out or amplifying waves that are coming directly from the speakers to your ears. To reduce SBIR, we need to place some bass traps on the front wall, covering as much of the front wall as possible behind the speakers to reduce those early reflections. If you do all of these 5 steps, then you have successfully treated your room. I want to point out that due to budget constraints, it may be hard to add all this acoustic paneling at once. That is perfectly okay. Start with the panels in the order I described. Bass traps go in first, then the reflection-free zone, then diffusion on your back wall, and finally the SBIR panels on your front wall. If you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments below what you want to learn about how to build a soundproof studio. This channel is for you, and it's for you guys to go out and build your dream home studio. So I'm here to help. I want to make this easy. I went through a huge process, and I'm constantly learning to try to help you get your results that you want for your own home studio. If you want to learn more about soundproofing in particular, definitely check out the free course in the link below. Free soundproofing course. It's awesome. Everyone who's taken it has loved it, so definitely check that out as well. If you're in the stage where you actually have a studio or you want to build a studio in your own house, but you want to figure out how to acoustically treat it, how to set up your monitors, what gear you want to use, and all those things, I've got another course that's also in the description below, so check that out. How to turn a spare room in your house into a professional home recording studio. So for all your home recording studio needs, this is the place. I will see you every Tuesday. Make sure to subscribe, like, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it so much. You're amazing. Have a wonderful week.